Alright guys, in this video we're going to look at maps. Okay, maps are a new object structure introduced in ECMAScript 6. A map is an object that holds key value pairs, and any value, whether it's an object or an object reference type or a primitive, can be used as a key or a value, which is very different than just an object literal. We can actually use an object as a key. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. And there's different ways that we can iterate through them, and they're actually pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and say maps, and maps are key value pairs, and we can use any type as a key or a value. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a variable where I'm going to call it map1, and we're going to set this to new map. Okay, so we call our new, use the new keyword, use the constructor, and call map. So let's first of all set some keys. So I'm going to set key1 as a string. I'm just going to say some string. Okay, let's set key2, and we'll set that to an empty object. Okay, which is kind of weird, right? But it's something that is kind of cool, and you never know when you may want to have some kind of value set for a certain object or even a function. In this case, we'll set key3 equal to an empty function. All right, so some pretty weird keys, but we can do it with maps. So let's go down here. And now let's set map values by key. So to do that, we'll say map1.set, and then we pass in our key, which, we want to use key1 in this case, and then we want to set the value, which I'm just going to set to a string that says value of key1. All right, I'm going to do the same for the other ones. So this will be key2, which will be value of key2, and this will be key3, value of key3. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get values by key. So I'm going to console.log, and the way that we get them is by using the get method. So map1.get, and then pass in the key. So we'll say map1.get key1, save, and we get this value of key1. All right, if we want to get the rest, I'll go ahead and copy that, and let's change this last one to key3, this one to key2. All right, we get value of key1, key2, and key3. Okay, we can also count the values inside of a map, and we do that using the size property. So let's say console.log map1.size, and save, and we get 3. Okay, there's three values inside of this map, or three, I should say, key value pairs. All right, now let's take a look at iterating through maps. So we can use what's called the for of iteration. So let's say loop using for of, and we can get either the key or the value or both. In this case, let's get the keys and the values. So let's say using for of to get keys and values. So what we would do here is do for. All right, so we could say for, and then let's do let, and we're going to put some brackets here and say key value of map1. All right, and then here we're going to just console.log, and we'll throw in some backticks here, and let's put the key, and then we'll say equals, and then the value. Okay, so let's comment out the rest of these console logs so nobody gets confused, and save, and you can see it's going to loop through. We get the key here, which is some string, and then the value. Here we have an empty object as the key, and the value, and here we have an empty function as the key and then the value. All right, now if we want to get just the keys, we'll say iterate keys only. What we could do is, let's just copy this, and instead of doing the brackets with key value, we'll just say key, and then we can say of map1 dot keys, like that. All right, and then we'll just console log. Let's get rid of all this. We'll console log key. I'm going to comment this one out and save, and you can see we get some string. Okay, that's the key, key 1. We get an empty object, which is key 2, and we get an empty function, which is key 3. All right, so let's say we want to get just the values. So we'll say iterate values only, and all we would have to do is we'll change this to value, and then map1 dot values, and then we'll go ahead and console log the value and save, and now we're looping through the values. All right, now we don't have to just use for of, we could also use a for each, which you should be no stranger to. So we can say map1 dot for each, pass in our function, and we're going to pass in value and key, and we'll just log what we did right here and save, and you can see we get the key and the value. So we can use a for each with sets. All right, another thing we can do is convert sets to arrays. Okay, so let's say we want to create an array of the key value pairs. So what we could do is create a variable, let's call it key val array, and set it to array dot from. Remember that we used that when we were working with the DOM, when we were working with things like HTML collections. So let's just pass in map1, and then we'll go ahead and console dot log the key value array and save, and now we have an array, and if we look at these, we have each one has the key and the value. All right, now if you want to create an array just from values, we could do that. So we'll say create an array of the values. So we'll call this val array and set it to array.from map1.values, and then we'll log val array and save, and now you can see we have an array of values. All right, and as you could probably guess, we can do the same thing with the keys. So we'll change this to key array and say map1.keys, and then we'll console log key array and save, and now we have an array of just the keys, so the string, the object, and the function. All right, so that is the basics of how maps work. In the next video, we're going to talk about another new addition, a new type of object in ES6, and that is the set.